Many of the Pueblo's crew went on to suffer from post-traumatic stress disorder and lifelong physical injuries. Over time, however, the crew members put up their own website testifying to their experiences, successfully lobbied for status as prisoners of war after it was initially denied to them, and sued North Korea in U.S. court for their treatment. As for the Pueblo itself, technically the second oldest ship still commissioned in the U.S. Navy, it remains in North Korean custody to this day. It is currently moored off the Potong River in Pyongyang, where it serves as an exhibition of the Victorious Fatherland Liberation War Museum. A U.S. Army light freighter launched during World War II, the 54-meter-long Pueblo had been recommissioned by the Navy in 1966 to serve as an environmental research ship, with 2 civilian oceanographers on board. This was a flimsy cover for the truth. The Pueblo was a spy ship, charged with intercepting and recording wireless transmissions and monitoring electronic emissions. Periodically, the Pueblo would transmit its findings using a 16-foot parabolic antenna on its deck to beam a signal towards the moon, where it would reflect back to the Earth for reception by Navy antennas in Hawaii and Maryland. Recommended 1,700 planes ready for war. Everything you need to know about China's Air Force recommended. Stealth versus North Korea's air defenses. Who wins recommended. America's battleships went to war against North Korea. The lightly armed and ponderous Pueblo, capable of a maximum speed of only 13 knots 15 miles per hour, was not supposed to place itself in real danger, however. Like other technical research ships, it could sail safely within international waters, no closer than 12 nautical miles from shore, and still listen in. The Soviet Union had its own spy ships, and so both sides of the Cold War had to tolerate the presence of the other's electronic spies. Today, signals intelligence remains a common form of espionage, and a basically legal one, so long as the ships involved do not stray into territorial waters and aircraft stick to international airspace. Recently, the Russian spy ship Viktor Leonov was observed 30 miles off the U.S. East Coast. U.S. Air Force RC-135 Rivet joint aircraft routinely intercept signal traffic from North Korea and other nations. However, these electronic spies can only operate so long as the nations they are spying on respect the norms of international law, a risky proposition when tensions are high and the nation in question is governed by a capricious regime. That January, the Pueblo was assigned by the NSA to intercept signal traffic from Soviet ships in the Tsushima Strait between Japan and Korea, and gather intel on North Korean coastal radars and radio stations. Her mission proceeded uneventfully until it encountered a North Korean subchaser, a corvette-sized vessel, on January 20. 2 days later, it was spotted by 2 North Korean fishing trawlers, which passed within 30 meters of it. The Pueblo's captain, Lieutenant CMDR Lloyd Buffer, informed the U.S. Navy and proceeded with the final phase of his mission. Buffer was left unaware, however, that tensions between the 2 Koreas had just escalated dramatically. Near midnight on January 21, 31 disguised North Korean infiltrators came within 100 meters of the South Korean presidential residence, the Blue House, in an attempt to assassinate President Park Chung-hee before being confronted and dispersed in a blaze of gunfire and exploding hand grenades. A shaken President Park put his troops on high alert and pressed for the United States to retaliate. At noon on January 23, the Pueblo once again encountered another Sewon-class subchaser. The cannon-armed vessel closed on the Pueblo at high speed and challenged its nationality, to which Buffer raised the American flag. Next, the smaller boat transmitted, "Heave to or I will fire." Buffer replied, "I am in international waters." In fact, the U.S. Navy stipulated that he keep his vessel several miles outside the boundary. The subchaser's captain was not satisfied, and continued to close on the Pueblo. Soon afterwards, 2 North Korean MiG-21 fighters swooped low over the 890-ton spy ship, and 3 P-4 torpedo boats joined the subchaser to surround the American vessel. Buff had turned the ponderous Pueblo around and made full speed eastward, managing to worm his ship away from a torpedo boat that attempted to land a boarding party toting AK-47s. The North Korean boats began raking the Pueblo with heavy machine gun fire and blasting at it with a 57mm cannon on the subchaser. Shrapnel sprayed across the bridge, wounding Buffer. Pages